One way of combating terrorism is to outlaw organizations that promote or foster it. By controlling these organizations, whether by confiscating their finances and other resources or curbing their publicity, it may be possible to minimize and control the threat of terrorism. Making an organization illegal raises issues relating to the freedoms of association, assembly, and expression, and to property rights. All of these rights permit qualification. It can therefore be lawful to interfere with them if there is a legal basis to do so, and if it is also necessary, proportionate, and non-discriminatory to limit those rights. Freedom of association is protected in Article 20 of UDHR, Article 22 of ICCPR, Article 10 of ECHR, Article 16 of ACHR, Article 10, Section 1 of ACHPR, and Article 24, Section 5 of the Arab Charter on Human Rights. It is a non-absolute right that can be restricted in the interests of national security or public safety, public order, the protection of public health or morals, or the protection of the rights and freedoms of others, as long as the restrictions have a legal basis and are proportional. Of particular relevance in the context of counterterrorism measures, the right to raise funds and to use them to carry out the activities of the association is an essential element of the right to freedom of association. Funding restrictions that impede the ability of associations to pursue their statutory activities constitute an interference with the right to freedom of association. On the other hand, all states are under the obligation to criminalize and prosecute the collection of funds to be used to carry out terrorist acts and to freeze and seize all funds used for or allocated to terrorism financing. The Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, states in its recommendation that non-profit organizations are particularly vulnerable to being misused for the financing of terrorism. Financial Action Task Force identifies three main ways in which non-profit organizations are misused by terrorists. By terrorist organizations posing as legitimate non-profit entities, to exploit legitimate non-profit entities as conduits for terrorist financing, including for the purpose of escaping asset freezing measures, and to conceal or obscure the clandestine diversion of funds intended for legitimate purposes to terrorist organizations. The Financial Action Task Force Interpretive Note to Recommendation 8 on Non-Profit Organizations, or NPOs, stresses that measures adopted by countries to protect the NPO sector from terrorist abuse should not disrupt or discourage legitimate charitable activities. Actions taken for this purpose should, to the extent reasonably possible, avoid any negative impact on innocent and legitimate beneficiaries of charitable activity. However, this interest cannot excuse the need to undertake immediate and effective actions to advance the immediate interest of halting terrorist financing or other forms of terrorist support provided by NPOs. A Financial Action Task Force has developed a set of best practices to assist states in protecting legitimate activities of charitable organizations in their efforts to stop the misuse of non-profit organizations for terrorist financing.